Come and dream with me.
Hello and welcome to What Do You Want to Watch, the Explosion Network's premier media podcast. Every fortnight, we get together to talk about TV, movie, and online content and help you answer the question, did we survive the Endgame? I don't know, because we haven't watched Endgame yet. We're recording it before Endgame, so that's why we're not going to talk about Endgame.
Spoilers.
I'm your host, Ashley Hobley. Joining me today is Dylan Blatt.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here.
Here in the before in the game.
Pre-Endgame.
Pre the Endgame.
Pre-Endgame and pre-Game of Thrones episode 3. That's what I like to call this time of my life. And then there's post-Game of Thrones episode 3 and Endgame.
This week is going to be brutal, potentially.
Potentially, yeah.
I mean,
life-altering.
At least they'll all die in the one go. So, we'll mourn them all together. You know how celebrities normally die in threes, so we can all mourn a group together?
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
All right, we've got a big episode. We're going to be talking about everything that we've been watching, all the TV and movie news, including mostly Disney Play and Star Wars celebration stuff. And then we'll be talking about the movie we ended up watching, which was The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the eighth dimension.
Buckaroo Banzai across the eighth dimension?
I don't know. It's spelt weird and then said weird.
Yeah.
But we'll get into that later. Let's start off with what's in our watch history. Dylan, I saw that you've watched the new Childish Gambino film, Guava Island, that debuted at Coachella.
I did. Well, it's like 58 minutes.
Yeah.
So
it's kind of a it's a medium film.
It's a medium film. It's weird because it's like you go to call it a short film, but it's not. But it's not feature length either because I think feature length is 80 minutes, isn't it? I think
it's 65.
Something like that. 65. Fucking hell. Well, it's close then. Jesus. It's like Purple Rain, I guess. Like Prince Purple Rain. It's a movie about the movie has a story of its own, but then a lot of it is just like dot points to be able to do like his music, I guess.
Yeah.
And his character is obviously the sole focus, which then makes it really weird that Rihanna's in it as his wife in this story. But then she never does any singing, so it just kind of feels weird that she's in it. But it's like they're on the Guava Island, grow up. He plays music all the time. It opens with this animated thing where it's like showing how they grew up, and she was like across from him as a child, and they fell in love, and he always played music. And now they've grown up, and he plays music on the radio station. And one of he's real popular and he's kind of known for that, I guess, playing music on the radio station. And she works in Rihanna's character works in a
textile factory.
Textile factory, yeah. With Letitia
Wright.
Thank you. From that most people know from Black Panther or Black Mirror. She was kind of known before that, I guess, one episode. But then the main focus just becomes about Donald Glover, Childish Gambino's character, trying to set up this concert to like rally up everyone to like give them a break from the workers' life there because they're kind of under the rule of thumb from this. I
don't know. It's like a cargo person.
Yeah, it's like
cargo
a cartel like
magnate?
type. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's not like a president or anything like that. It's just like some gangster type character that I guess is running the island,
Overlord,
and, like, forcing people to work. Overlord type figure, yeah. And it's like then the rest of the movie is like him trying to stop him from doing the concert and blah 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 blah. The ending's kind of very metaphorical, I guess, and they have a couple of musical numbers throughout it. Like he reworks "This Is America."
That was interesting.
Interesting. He like does Feels Like Summer and all these sorts of things. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was. As a fan of his music, it was an hour of his music and Donald Glover being Donald Glover, and it was just, I also liked the way it was shot. It was shot on this 16mm, but like beautifully still, even though it's obviously not full screen for 4K or anything like that. It's just like it's still just shot really well, so it doesn't really matter. Beautiful scenery and these sorts of things. So it's definitely not something that's for everyone, but I thought it was really good,
Yeah. I enjoyed it as well. I thought it was beautifully shot. Obviously, they were in.
Was it Cuba? Something? No.
Don't know off the top of my head. I'm trying to think what it was, but yeah, obviously they shot on location.
Yeah.
In the Pacific, no, Caribbean. That's the place.
Caribbean, somewhere.
Yeah. So
where Rihanna's from?
She's from Barbados, so.
Well, like around there, wasn't it?
Around somewhere around there. I don't know. Yeah, it was shot beautifully. I enjoyed the animated stuff. I thought that was a really cute style, and I could have watched a lot more of that. Yeah, Rihanna really doesn't have too much to do, considering that it's interesting that you cast Rihanna and then not ask her to sing at all.
And it's really weird. There's one point in that song where it breaks, Feels Like Summer, and like you think she's about to come in, but then she doesn't.
It's like,
what a waste.
Yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I know it must have been like a passion. Obviously, it was like a passion project because Donald had like his bro. There's like 5 different people on this script. Hiro Murai directed it, who did the This Is America and
Atlanta
video, and has done a lot of Atlanta. It is pretty much his best bud, I guess. And shot it. Apparently, they were down in wherever they shot it for like a couple of months. So yeah, had a good time shooting.
Wrote it with his brother. One of the people does the script. So
yeah, really cool. Interesting project. Available on Amazon Prime. And again, it was shown at Coachella because Donald Glover was headlining over there, so that makes sense.
It opened his show as well, or something.
Yeah.
They showed it first.
Which would have been a weird disconnect, I think.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, just thousands of people standing in there ready for a massive concert, and they get that, like, chill, and then, like, kind of deep. And I'm sure if you look into this film, there'll be a lot more meaning than we're probably gleaned off it. I think.
I could say stuff, but it's spoilers to do with the ending.
That too.
But there's a lot of certain things that happen without going into spoilers. Like, pay attention to this bird at the end, and then like different colors of stuff and whatever else. If you watch it, that's all I'll say.
Yeah. So, I watched the new Hellboy movie directed by Neil Marshall, and starring David Harbour and Mila Jovovich and Ian McShane. It's not good. As a fan of the Guillermo del Toro movies, it is a definite step down. It just doesn't have that style or like interesting visuals. It's kind of bland. Of course, it's R-rated, but I don't think that really adds much. Sure, there's just a bunch of blood and guts. That's all that they've really done. They've just made it a bit gorier, but not in any interesting way. And all the gory stuff is mostly monsters and that sort of thing that he sorts of takes down. There are a couple like people who get ripped in half and that sort of thing, but nothing too incredible. The story was kind of bland. Everybody in the story is just not very interesting. And I really didn't like this interpretation of Hellboy. He came off as kind of whiny, whereas I feel like in the original ones, or Del Toro's ones, he's more grumpy or gruff, you know what I mean? So, yeah. Just
a bit disappointing because I thought the Red Band trailer actually looked all right for it.
Yeah, I guess they kind of put the best bits in the trailer. Yeah, it wasn't very good. Apparently there was a lot of bickering back behind the scenes and that sort of stuff, so it's not surprising it did turn out great.
Dear.
Yeah. I saw that you finally got around to watching the first episode of Star Wars Resistance. What do you think?
Yep. I like it. I'm going to continue watching. I kept waiting for it to finish because I wasn't like I would have had to pay for a whole nother Foxtel channel and all this sort of crap to go for it. You know what I mean? Like, because I didn't have the kids one. I'm like, money doesn't grow on trees. Like, that's good. You gotta some things I gotta kind of wait for. But now it's finished. I just brought the full thing off Google Play. Actually, iTunes doesn't have the last 2 episodes. Google Play had the last 2 episodes and was cheaper. Figure that one out. So there's your little bit of advice if you want to watch it. But yeah, it's definitely more aimed at a younger audience than even Rebels was, I would say. Not that I particularly have a problem with that. The art style is fine. It's something different. I neither love it or hate it because I've only watched 1 episode. The characters, don't love or hate any of them because I've only watched 1 episode, but they seem fine. I liked how Poe was in it for one episode. I'm keen to see where it goes in the future. I've heard, I kind of predict, I feel like this show will be a lot more interesting come season 2 because, like, from what I can gather, the first season is just going to be about setting up these characters pre-Force Awakens, right? And then season 2 is going to be taking place at the same time, from what I gather, as The Last Jedi. And if you kind of add up what happens around The Last Jedi pretty much takes place over, I don't know, 12 hours, you know, like
a day.
A day? Yeah. So it's like, how are we, does potentially season 2 of Resistance is going to give us our first look at kind of what other remnants of the Resistance are doing after they scatter, after the First Order attacks Decor and the base there at the start of The Last Jedi film. So I feel like a lot of this show is going to be set up and it could potentially get a little bit more mature as the seasons grow, which they usually do. Like even Star Wars Rebels, like I feel like they started at a younger age and then they kind of grow, and you know they're like, hey, if our target audience season 1 is 10 years old, by the time we get to season 5 they're 15 years old, and they kind of just get a little bit mature as it goes along. Yep. You know, they kind of grow with what they think their target audience is. But yeah, I'll continue watching it. Star Wars. I'm glad it's actually finished now, so I can actually watch it, because I would have been keen before. But
yeah,
I never saw any like headlines that made me go, "Oh, that's exciting! I need to get on this right away."
Yeah,
I'll just wait.
What I've seen, it sort of picks up in the second half. Like they hit their groove, and then it gets interesting towards the second half. So
definitely $22. $22 full season Google Play if you want to watch it, dear listeners.
Or if you've got kids with Foxtel,
kids,
watch it.
I don't think I looked on Foxtel. It doesn't have the older episodes to watch.
Really? Oh,
no.
Because they got rid of the Disney XD channel, so I don't know if they got moved
very
to
weird
Disney.
at the moment.
Yeah, it's weird at the moment.
All I'm going to say is this, and we'll talk about Disney Plus later, obviously. But if Disney Plus doesn't come here, and I can't watch the Clone Wars, and then if they put Resistance season 2 on Disney Plus, and I can't watch that either because of like some weird license, all hell's going to break loose. But yeah, we'll get to that.
So based off your Star Wars, I was watching Star Trek. I watched the 3 Star Trek movies over the last probably month, going back and revisiting them. Yeah, they still hold up. I think the ranking for me is probably Star Trek, the reboot, Star Trek Beyond, and then Star Trek Into Darkness. I think, yeah, that's my personal order. I watched them out of order as well. I don't know why. But I think I liked Star Trek Into Darkness more this second time, obviously knowing who Benedict Cumberbatch is before going in, and there's not the massive buzz about or trying to hide stuff before the film actually came out. That was the big...
See, I don't care, because when I watched it, I was not a Star Trek fan, and everyone's problems is like, oh, it ruins the character. It's something. I'm like, I have no connection.
No, I have no connection either.
I liked it. I liked it just fine.
Yeah, so no,
I would go 3-1-2.
3-1-2.
I think I like Beyond the most. It's fun.
Yeah, it is fun. Except Idris Elba's villain's not great. I completely forgot he was the villain in that as well.
It's more campy in line with the TV show, I feel, the third film, a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely felt like more of the TV
Especially since they're on an alien planet for the majority of the film, too, instead of like spacecrafts and stuff.
Cool. I saw you watch a documentary called Marathon, the Patriots' Day Bombing.
Yeah. I mean, it focuses on the actual people who got hurt more so than the bombers themselves, which I appreciated, because most of the time with these things they they focus on the killers or the people that done it, but it kind of it more or less tells the tale of these people and how they recuperate after their absolutely dreadful things they go for, losing their legs and these sorts of things, and kind of shows what they do to overcome it and stuff. And I'll go spoilers here, so skip ahead like 10 seconds if you don't want this spoiled, because I just think this is like worthwhile part to make you want to watch the documentary.
Spoilers for real life.
Yeah, but at the end of it, a whole heap of them return. Like I think it's like a year, 2 years later or something. I can't even remember. Sorry, but they return and they do the marathon, like again, like with after they've learned to like be able to run with prosthetics and these sorts of things. It's like a triumph. So it's obviously terrible to watch and it's gory at times too because they show a lot of like real life footage and stuff like that. So it's hard to watch at times, but then it's like sort of uplifting because of the whole human spirit, like pushing through such a terrible event as well. So yeah, I thought it was good. It was a HBO documentary, so it had a decent budget and the people behind it. It was edited well and these sorts of things. It didn't feel like a PBS straight to TV documentary. It actually felt like a higher quality one, which was nice.
Cool. All right, let's move into the mandatory Netflix segment. And the reason I've been watching so much Star Trek is because I've finally finished this season of Star Trek Discovery. Came to an end with its 2-part finale this past week, or last week. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a good finale. It leaves it in very interesting points. They kind of tie off a lot of things and opened themselves up for new possibilities in the new season. I really enjoyed where Ethan Peck's Spock ended up. So pretty much it fits the canon is pretty much, and the way it's finished, it might not have to work with the canon anymore. So,
ooh,
yeah,
I've seen some people the last couple of weeks on Twitter that I follow not speaking too highly about it, but I can tell from reading their tweets that they're like old school fans.
Yeah.
So like kind of like with the movies again, I'm like, I just feel like with those movies, the JJ ones, and even this TV show, it's like people that are so attached to the old stuff just don't like it.
Well, it's their own fault. It's the show's fault for trying to position itself inside the canon and trying to make sure it fits as well as they can make it fit.
I don't think it would matter even if they said it was nothing to do with the actual series. People would still be pissed off because it's got Star Trek in its name. So
that's true. It's the same as Star Wars fans. So yeah.
Star Wars fans are worse. Let's be honest.
Yeah, probably. Well, definitely. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I'm keen to see what they do in season 3 because again, the possibilities are very interesting and infinite. I saw you watched the Brie Larson directed film Unicorn Store today. How was
that was fun. It's a very weird movie, but it's kind of fun as well. It's literally this girl, like she basically goes to art school, and that's kind of how the movie opens, with her basically failing art school, and then she comes home and her parents are like, get a real job and sort of thing. So then she tries to get a real job at this office, and then she starts getting like these mystical letters that tell her to go to this place, and she goes to this store where she keeps getting letters telling her to go, like found under a keyboard at work and things. And then Samuel L. Jackson's there and he's like, hey, this is the unicorn store. Would you like a unicorn? And she's like, yeah, I'd like a unicorn. And she's like, and he's like, cool. You got to go through these certain steps and do certain things to make sure you're able to get a unicorn first. So then the majority of the movie is like her trying to set up her house to be able to take the unicorn while also like kind of growing up somewhat, dealing like with her real job and like growing her relationships with her, with some people she meets throughout the movie at work and outside work, as well as her parents who are emotional counselors who consistently are just being like try to somewhat counsel her because that's their job and sort of thing. But it's a very the time movie has a really weird vibe. Like it's heightened reality, I guess. Like it sits a little bit above feeling super realistic, I guess. It's also really weird. It falls into this weird category where I feel if they took out a couple elements that were a bit too adulty, this could fall into a like all ages movie, but it does have a couple storylines or themes in here that are definitely to do with adults, like even hints at like workplace sexual harassment and these sorts of things. Because then the majority of it is this character who's very much floating, like just she wants, unicorns, and she likes making really crazy, colorful paintings and all these sorts of things. It feels like it could almost have been a all ages like kids movie with some themes aimed at adults, but it's definitely aimed at adults. It's fun. I don't know. Like it's weird. She's great in it. Brie Larson is really quite funny. I actually laughed out loud a couple times. I feel like the humor won't hit with everyone though. It's definitely like that kind of humor that's either going to work or not work for you. Samuel L. Jackson, but in a crazy costume, which is fun. And there's a couple other characters and actors in it that I hadn't seen before that were quite good as well. But yeah, for her to star and direct in this movie, definitely shows promise, I feel, for what Brie Larson can do.
Cool. So I watched a couple of the recent released Netflix romantic comedies, I guess you'd call them. I watched The Perfect Date, the third movie in the Noah Sorrento rom-com Netflix trilogy. After
Is this a real trilogy?
it's almost a trilogy. He did To All the Boys I Ever Loved, and then he did Sarah Burgess is a Loser. I haven't seen that one.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah. But this one, he's actually a lead. He's the focal point. He's the protagonist. Unlike the other ones. He's charming. The girl's charming. His mate, played by Odysseus Jordius, he's charming as well. Pretty much he kind of takes this girl on a date and gets paid for it, and then decides after that to make an app and start being a stand-in date for people, to make money for college. Yep. It's like Tinder, except without the sex. And it's the same. There's no swiping right. It's just the same person. But, but yeah, it was charming. I enjoyed it. It was a good 90-minute film. Nothing too special. I don't think it's as good as the couple of films we saw last year, but still pretty solid. And it kind of goes the way you expect it to go. So that's The Perfect Date. And then I watched Someone Great, the new film starring Gina Rodriguez, Brittany Snow, and Lakeith Stanfield and DeWanda Weiss. I really like this a lot. I think that trio is super charming. Pretty much, Gina Rodriguez plays Jenny, who's about to move over to the other side of the country to work for Rolling Stone. She's like a music writer, and she's just broken up with her boyfriend, played by Lakeith Stanfield. And she gets her friends together to go out to a music festival thing, and it pretty much just follows the day. And it does sort of, at points, she does flashbacks and stuff to their relationship and sort of going through. And it's sort of just the story of her dealing with that relationship breaking down after 8-something years together. Yeah. I really liked all three ladies. They all had their all interesting own stories, but then their chemistry together is really, really great. So definitely one worth checking out. And then I also watched the Beyonce Knowles Coachella performance.
I want to watch this.
Film.
I listened to the night it came out. I put the Spotify, because they got an album too. So I put on the Spotify album, listened to it, and I was like, this is some good shit. So now I need to actually go watch the concert thing. So now you're going to tell me the concert's as good as listening to it.
I assume it's as good as listening to it. It's very incredibly choreographed. So they pretty much just shoot the Coachella performance. Obviously, it's intercut between the two weekends of Coachella, because they wore different costumes during the second weekend, so she's in different outfits at different points, or at least the background people are in different colored outfits. I think they're in yellow in one, and like in a pink in the other one. So sometimes they interchange between the two performances in the same song, and then sometimes in the same song. For one song, they're in one performance, or one session must have been better than the other one or something. I don't know. But then, as well as having performance, they also have a lot of backstage preparation stuff. It also functions as sort of a documentary leading up to it, focusing on sort of Beyonce coming back from having twins like a year before to pretty much performing for a good 90 minutes at Coachella, which is pretty freaking insane with her freaking dance moves and everything. Is pretty crazy. So if you're a fan of Beyonce and her music, I'm sure you'll love it. So and there is this thing where they do like a grainy, like all the documentary stuff is like in this grainy template or lens sort of thing style, and they sort of make it look like it's being filmed on an iPhone a lot. Like they have the little bevel, like
interesting.
Yeah.
Where the iPhone part would be,
yeah. So
like the symbol,
yeah. So is it? I thought it was really interesting. It was obviously, I don't know if this is a spoiler, but there was a huge pop when Destiny's Child came out. That was pretty cool.
I don't think it's a spoiler. It's a concert that happened, and there was 1,000,001 news stories. So
yeah. So that's everything. There is one other thing we've been watching. That is season 8, the final season of Game of Thrones. If you didn't know, we're doing a podcast after show podcast called South of King's Landing, which you can find at youtube.com/Explosion Network or on all good podcast services. Dylan, I'm assuming you're very positive having talked to you on the show so far.
I feel like if you watched our first season or heard me talk about Game of Thrones, I wasn't the biggest fan of last season. Not to the point that obviously turned me off watching the show. I was still keen coming in, but I was like, last season felt a little bit off. This season, I feel like is a lot better. By the time you're listening to this, we'll have 2 after the show. Yeah, we'll have 2 after show episodes up, of course. And I'd say that the first episode kind of came back, and it was like, this is a good episode. It wasn't like
it just blew out the cobwebs. Is what I saw.
It was like, hey, it's been a while. It's characters and stuff. I'm like, yeah, okay, cool, I get it. Like we need to warm up the world. Episode 2, I would say, is probably maybe top 10 episodes of all time. So I feel like the season's off to a good start for sure. Without going into any spoilers, obviously. That's how I feel, yeah.
Okay. Well, the thing I wanted to talk about more so about Game of Thrones is the current culture around it of live tweeting.
Spoilers?
Well, spoilers, and sort of everyone is sort of live tweeting this show as it is being aired originally, which is causing some discontent between the rest of the world, I guess, who aren't watching it live.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about people live tweeting the show?
A couple of years ago, I would have been like, don't tweet spoilers, full stop. That's a mean thing to do. I've come around on it because I've kind of had an understanding. It's called social media. And the reason people are live tweeting a lot of time for this is because they use it they just want to interact, somewhat. A lot of these people are replying to other people's tweets, tweeting their own stuff, liking other people's tweets while it's happening, like they're just on the hashtag, and you can be like, oh, they should be paying more attention to the show, but they're watching it and it's kind of like a sporting event, I guess, at the same time as the thing. All these big moments are happening. They've got Twitter open. They're looking at the hashtag. They're tweeting their own responses. They're liking other people's stuff. They're replying like, oh my God, blah, blah, blah. They're connecting with people because it's such a massive thing. Game of Thrones is on another level. It's not like, it's one of these massive shows, right? And people each week are just going to be live tweeting it like it's a huge Super Bowl event, basically, because it is that big of a thing. Now, yeah, as I said before, like, don't tweet spoilers or heavy spoiler stuff, full stop, because that's just mean. My general rule used to be, like, some of the things like, don't tweet about spoilers for a TV show until it's like out on DVD after or something. That used to be like my. It's like TV shows. It's like for movies. Same sort of thing. Don't tweet spoilers until it's like been out on Blu-ray for a couple of weeks or something. Longer. At some point there kind of has to be a line, somewhat, I guess, is the thing. I feel like for Game of Thrones, if you don't think you're going to be able to watch it air at the same time, just do what's necessary. Take control of your timeline. Mute Game of Thrones. Mute the hashtag. Mute the word Game of Thrones.
Mute every single character name.
Mute all the character names. Do what you need to do. Yeah, like I understand it from both points of view, but yeah, when it boils down to it, people are just using it as it's called social media, and people are wanting to connect with other people who are watching it at the same time, and they want to cheer and yell and celebrate and be shocked together, and you know what I mean? Like, social media. So it's just a double-edged sword, really. So yeah.
Yeah. I saw this tweet, which I think summed it up pretty well, from a guy called Adrian Behinji. Second screen experiences became popular specifically from the use of social media. This platform particularly was from Twitter. Changed with regards to how people consume shows. The shows themselves live tweet for engagement. Landscape has changed. I think, people want to, especially, I feel like this is the only dramatic scripted show that it kind of feels acceptable to do it with, though, or is done to the scale at which it's done.
Yeah, it's like when I'm watching it, I have my thing up that I'm taking notes on for our show, right? But other than that, I'll pick it up. I'll pick it up quickly, jot down some notes, and then put it down and continue watching the show. Like that's my level of disconnect. If I wasn't taking notes, I would just be fully invested and not want to interact with anything. But that's just me.
Yeah,
you know, it's kind of like how I enjoy going to the cinema. Just put my phone down because Game of Thrones is a epic. You know, like I want it to have my full attention. But yeah, it's like all these reality TV shows and like cooking shows and master chefs and whatever else, they encourage you. Hashtag this, talk about the show while it's airing, talk about the show while it's airing. So you kind of got to remember that even though they're not straight away, they're not encouraging it at the bottom of the screen for Game of Thrones, television culture in itself has been encouraging this type of behavior for years and years and years.
That's because they want you to watch it when it actually airs. That's why... The thing is, Game of Thrones is one of the very rare shows that has gotten a bigger audience through its run. Like, there's more people watching it this season than any season ever before.
And also one of the few remaining huge shows that actually releases on a weekly basis.
Yeah, that too.
Most of the big shows like Stranger Things and stuff are just... Stranger Things has just dropped and whatever else,
Can't live tweet about the stuff. And I think that people like getting in with those zingers and those memes first as well.
They do. Yeah, and you could be like, oh, they're just doing it for like followers and stuff. It's like to a point they are, but at the same time, it's just part of the... It's no different than when watching E3 or something. And people want to be the first to have a fucking good funny joke when something funny happens at E3, you know?
Yeah.
It's the exact same sort of thing. You just want to... It's part of the zeitgeist, being part of the bubble as it's happening. It's not for me personally. I would rather just be fully paying attention to it. But I understand the day and age that we live in, and you know, I'll say it again, it's called social media, and people are using it to socially interact around a program for. So don't at people spoilers. Try to use the hashtag Game of Thrones. If you're if people use the hashtag in all this spoiler stuff, then you just mute the hashtag and then your problem's kind of solved. If that was the golden rule to solve it, you know what I mean? It's like if you're going to tweet, if you want to live tweet spoilers for shows, make sure you use the hashtag. And then if you're afraid of spoilers, make sure you mute the hashtag. I feel like that kind of evens it out somewhat.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I think it's interesting. It's just that, again, this show is the only show that you can do that with. Other than reality TV, any script, or sporting events or anything. But it's definitely a cultural thing. I think people who maybe aren't as in... Well, I wouldn't say people who aren't as invested as us. Maybe people who love multitasking and can't just sit and watch a show.
It's like, I feel it's different for movies too. Like, if people come out of Endgame and straight away they're tweeting spoilers, I'm like, no, it's not the same.
No, that's different.
It's different, and I know people will be like, yeah, but it's exactly the same.
Although, stay off my Twitter. I'm going to be tweeting.
It's like, people will be like, oh, it's exactly the same. They're tweeting spoilers. I'm like, but it's not. The reason people are tweeting what you consider, like, you're like, oh, they're tweeting Game of Thrones spoilers, but the reason they're doing it at the time is they're live tweeting and they're being part of the moment as it's happening, as it's airing. People that walk out and start tweeting Endgame spoilers or general movie spoilers are just being inconsiderate. I do think there is a line between movie and television, like live tweeting and stuff. So, and you just go, it's like your Twitter timeline, take control of it. I understand a lot of time people like to be like, yeah, but blah, 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 blah. Take control of it. The mute function is there for a reason. You know? If you see the spoiler, it's like, if you see the spoiler posted in the comment section of a cooking YouTube video or something for a movie, that's when that people are just being dicks, you know? Like, people used to go around and post episode 7 spoilers, Harry Potter spoilers, these types of things in really random videos and places all the time. Those people are being dicks. But like, if people are posting hashtag Game of Thrones, live tweeting it, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, it's just the world we live in. People want to live tweet stuff. It's just part of the thing.
It's not just people. It's also like websites are trying to get in as quickly as possible. The number of sites I said, oh, you'll never know. Guess what? Arya did this last episode. Was insane.
Yeah, and there is a level of that too, where I'm like, there's straight up spoilers, and then there's people who get angry about stuff that's like hinting at stuff that happened in the episode, like article headlines or sorts of things. Like even I tweeted stuff that I'm sure people consider spoilers, but I'm like, I didn't tweet anything directly spoiler related. Like after the latest episode aired, I like tweeted out a couple of remarks and stuff, but people would take that as spoilers. I'm like, there has to be a line. Like websites have to be allowed to write articles with headlines that you're going to consider spoilery. It's no different than I saw people getting shitty because websites were writing, and we'll talk about Star Wars in a minute or shortly, but people were writing like, Palpatine, blah, 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 and people were spitting it like, oh, you put a spoiler in your fucking headline, fuck you, website, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, it was a trailer, dude. Like, it's not a spoiler if it's in the headline. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, after the episode airs, people are going to want to write about it. That's a lot of people's jobs. How do they not have slight spoilers in the headline or something, Yeah.
I know. Just save yourself the trouble. Watch the show as quickly as possible. 11 a.m. Foxtel, not sponsored.
I wouldn't want their sponsorship.
I would really love to get that Foxtel paid for.
Murdoch money or?
Yeah. Well, moving from Foxtel onto Disney Plus, the streaming service that we've been in the works for forever, as far as I'm concerned. The thing that we all knew was coming eventually. So they had an investor day pretty much the day after our last podcast went up. So thank you.
Of course.
Where they pretty much detailed their plans for Disney Plus. It is going to be releasing in America on the 12th of November. It's going to be $6.99 per month, or $69.99 annually. So you save 2 months.
Nice.
Very nice. Which is it's a good price when you compare it to Netflix and Amazon Prime, which are both $8.99 a month. So save $2. Although apparently it's only 20% of the content compared to Netflix. So
it's Disney content.
It is Disney content, so it's of a higher standard. There is just so much content. They're also going to be bundling it in America with Hulu, I think. And at least
they own Hulu. So,
well, they own a majority stake in Hulu, so they'll be, and also with ESPN Plus. They showed the Who's Watching screen. It looks pretty much like Netflix. And let's see, day one on launch services, you'll get at least 12 Marvel movies. It's going to be a bunch of, all the Disney movies is going to be crazy. I've got a list of stuff they've announced, so we'll probably go through that in a sec. But what was your initial impressions of what they announced?
They're going hard, and they're going to come out pretty much on top or like next to Netflix as the top dogs of the streaming service. Because what they're doing is they're like, we've got the content you want. You want fucking Marvel movies? Yeah, we own that shit. You want Star Wars? You want all these animated Disney stuff? We've got it. And what they're doing that makes it even better is they're not like, yeah, you want it, so we can charge you a lot for it. They're going, we want it, and we're cheaper than the competitors. How can you say no to us? How the fuck can you say no to Disney Plus? They're pretty much guaranteeing that they'll get a shit ton of subscribers, I feel. Like,
it's going to be...
They're setting themselves up very, very for success, I feel, at that price point.
I would say they're probably almost a necessity with this catalog.
At this point. Yeah, well, just look at Marvel movies. Like, Endgame's going to be releasing, by the time this episode drops, Endgame's out, and I would put my money on that being the highest grossing movie of all time, potentially, after the time the box office rolls over for that. So everyone's going to be wanting to watch those freaking Marvel movies. People will subscribe just for those. So price point is good. Content seems good. They said that, I think they said they had a rollout plan of by the end of 2020, everything will be on there. It's not all dropping launch day. They said it's kind of a rollout, but there is an end date. So by the end of next year, all the Disney movies will be up there. Apart from a couple, they're taking off that really racist one from back in the day, and they said they're going to Song of the South, and they're editing Dumbo. So it's like there are some things that make sense.
The old Dumbo, not the new Dumbo, but the new Dumbo could do some editing as well.
Yeah. Hot take. It seems good. The only question, the problem I have with it, of course, is their non-clarification on better release dates and scheduling for anything outside of America. Like I showed you at one stage, I showed Ash this picture. Like, have you seen the damn picture of the rollout for Asia Pacific? And it starts at Q4 2019 or something like
So
that.
anytime
And it goes
between the day it comes out in America
to the end of 2020.
Yep.
Yeah, but every other region, like North America, Europe countries, whatever,
Latin America,
they all
yeah.
have like very specific regions. They're like between Q1 and Q2 2020. It's like, okay, so somewhere around there. But for Asia Pacific, it's literally between launch day and end of next year. It's like, and where the fuck do Australia and New Zealand fall into Asia Pacific in that kind of that very long period of time? We don't know. So that's the only thing that annoys me. I just would have liked some better clarification of if we're going to get this day one, if we're going to get this a month later, like when the fuck am I getting this?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think it looks incredible. It's an incredible lineup. They've got so much content, especially on day one. I think they said that they're going to drop all 300 plus episodes of The Simpsons on the first day. It's all going on there. So that's already like months of content already. Just that show.
If you want to watch The Simpsons, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I'm sure there's still people who haven't seen all 300 episodes.
Maybe.
All right, so let's go through some of the stuff they announced, or has been announced. Starting with some of the Marvel stuff. We know there's a Loki series coming that with Tom Hiddleston reprising the role.
Meh.
Yeah, that's could be interesting. I like Loki, so there could be a thing.
I need a plot synopsis or something. I need some sort of. I need to know more before I'm keen,
well, apparently, sources say the show will follow Loki as the trickster and shapeshifter pops up throughout human history as an unlikely influencer on historical events.
Not sold.
Not sold. Really? Loki as Doctor Who? Like a bad Doctor?
I'm kind of sick of Loki, and I'm sick of being told to like Loki.
Okay.
That's my problem with that character.
We
He's
have
a bad guy.
the Falcon and Winter Soldier TV series, starring
I like Winter Soldier.
Sebastian Stan and Anthony Mackie.
Maybe. I'm not a big fan of Falcon, so
I don't know. They have good banter during Civil War. I guess that's why they're throwing those two together.
Yeah.
We're going to have a Hawkeye series starring Jeremy Renner, in which he'll reprise the role in an adventures series in which Clint Barton, aka Hawkeye, will pass the torch to Kate Bishop.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to star him. That series I'm keen for because it seems like it's potentially he'll be heavy at the top of the series, but then it's just going to transition over into, obviously the series not starring him.
Yeah. It'll be like, I'm trying to think of a series where someone starts off as the lead and then just hand it over like 3 episodes in. I'm sure there's something that fits the bill.
There's something that fits that title.
Then we have the worst named show that they've launched with, WandaVision. The TV series starring Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany as The Vision and Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. Terrible name. Terrible name. But I'll say that I'm not sold on that either because I'm like, what was this? A romance TV series? What are we doing here? But on all the Marvel series, I'm keen because if anything, it means that their extended TV universe is actually going to be taken serious for once. Because like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and all the Netflix stuff, they're like, is it part of the universe? Maybe,
Well, the thing is, I think these are being overseen by Kevin Feige. Yeah. Whereas the other ones are being overseen by Jeff Loeb. And apparently there's a fair bit of friction between the two.
Yeah, I didn't like, I'm like, it either isn't part of it or it is. Just fucking make your mind up.
It is, just nobody notices.
Yeah, it's annoying. At least with all this stuff, you obviously know it's part of the thing.
Clearly, they've figured out their contracts could include TV series, and that's why.
Yeah. Also, Avengers Endgame potential spoiler theory. They're doing all the TV shows because they're going to make an alternate timeline universe, and that's where all the TV shows are set. What? Just throwing it out there?
Maybe, I don't know. Crazy theory could be true. By now, we could know. They're also going to be doing What If, based on the popular What If comic book series. There'll be a new animated show overseen by Kevin Feige and Marvel Studios, but the stories will be not in canon, will not be canon in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, although they'll use voice actors reprising their roles from the future. Pretty much the series is a bunch of what if scenarios. So
that's the best of these.
Yeah, it's the most interesting. Apparently the first episode will ask what if Peggy Carter became a super soldier and a scrawny Steve Rogers uses an armored suit built by Howard Stark?
Yeah. I'm down for these. These sound fun. This is the best.
Well, obviously it's animated. You've got a bit more room to move.
Play with.
They can do all sorts of crazy shit. So, yep. They've also got a documentary series that's working title is Marvel 616. That pretty much just dives into the history of Marvel Comics, I think. So I think they've got a few of these kind of projects. I think that's pretty cool. They've also got a Marvel Heroes project, which reveals the remarkable positive change several young heroes are making in their own communities. These inspiring kids have dedicated their lives to the selfless acts of bravery and kindness, and now Marvel celebrates them as the true superheroes they are. That could be interesting. Feel good television, I guess. Then on the Disney side, we've got High School the Musical, the series.
Fucking hell.
A 10-episode docu-series based on the franchise starring Joshua Bassett in the lead role of Ricky takes place at the high school where the movies were filmed, where they are arranging a stage production of the movie.
Wow.
Okay, so it's not a remake of the movie into a TV series. They're making... It's a documentary-esque series of them making a musical from the musical TV movies.
That's intense. But I'm more interested than any other potential outcomes for that, to be honest. I might watch that, actually.
Yep. Sorry, my brain's just rebooting. Then we have a Mighty Duck series from the original Mighty Ducks screenwriter Stephen Brill and original producer John Kerner, which will be around the original 1990s family sports franchise, which will be a TV series. So
I'm all for this.
The new Mighty Ducks.
I'm all for this.
This sounds great. I'm
it does. This. I love those movies as a kid, and I wanted to play hockey, but we didn't have like ice and stuff obviously here. So
really, you didn't have ice in Tasmania? Of all the places in Australia, that's probably the one.
Yeah, we don't have fucking ice. It's not that cold. Jesus Christ. Unless you go up into the bloody mountains or something. I used to love those movies. Used to want to play hockey, ice hockey. Couldn't play it, so now I hate sport.
We also have a series called Ink and Paint, an 8-episode documentary series based on the 2017 book, telling the untold story of the often overlooked female employees who contributed to the magic of Walt Disney's animation empire.
Could be cool, I guess.
Yeah. More documentary stuff. Yeah. Be Our Chef, what if your family had the chance to create the next great Disney park dish? Hosted by Angela Kinsey, Be Our Chef invites families from diverse backgrounds to join a positive and playful Disney-inspired cooking competition at Walt Disney World. In each episode, 2 families will participate in a themed challenge based on their family traditions and the magic of Disney. The finalists will apply what they have learned to create a dish that represents their family through a Disney lens. The winner's magical food creation will become a signature dish or treat served at Walt Disney World.
That synopsis is a whole heap of shit, but could be a cool show. It's like with any cooking show, it's just like you need to watch it. It's like, is the host funny? Is the way it's like put together, edited? You know, like is it charming? Does it have like that? Is it going to have like a Disney flair to it being a cooking show, or is it just going to be any other cooking show with a freaking Disney like characters in the background or something like that? But I'd be keen to at least check out the first episode.
Yep. Then we have Cinema Relics, Iconic Art of the Movies, which is an anthology series that takes a unique look at beloved films through the props and costumes that have made them unique, from the craftsmen who created them, the actors who interacted with them, and the collectors/archives who own and cherish them. The show will be hosted by film historian collector Dan Lanigan. Among the films featured in the first 8 episodes are Pirates of the Caribbean, Mary Poppins, The Muppet Movie, Tron, and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I know. As film buffs, it could be a bit interesting thing. I don't know how many people actually watch it, but it could be interesting.
I was going to say, I'd check it out, but with a lot of these things, it's like, could be bad, could be good, don't know.
Then we have a show called Encore, in which executive producer Kristen Bell brings together former classmates of a high school musical, tasking them with recreating the original performances in a high school reunion like no others. Emotions run high as the former students face faded friendships, former flames, self-doubt, and killer choreography. Through it all, these unlikely group of friends, with the help of Broadway's bests, might pull off a standing ovation-worthy performance of beloved musicals like The Sound of Music, Beauty and the Beast, Annie, and more.
Did you say Christian Bell?
Kristen Bell.
Yeah, a lot.
But
But
I
it's
think that
like,
makes sense, seeing as that's pretty cheapish to make, and they've got so many properties that they can.
yeah. But it doesn't turn me off because documentary stuff is often,
Some
I'll
of the
watch
best
this
stuff.
while I'm doing something else on my laptop or something. So there's a high potential for me to watch a lot of it compared to TV shows where I'm like, it needs my full attention.
Yep. Then we have an untitled Walt Disney Imagineering documentary that will chronicle the 65 plus years of Walt Disney Imagineering with parallel storylines of the people, craft, and the business. Created by Academy Award and Emmy-nominated director and producer Leslie Iwix, the series includes exclusive interviews and never-before-seen footage from the Disney parks around the world. Could be cool. Yeah. Then we do have the Untitled Muppets revival that's coming from Josh Gad and Once Upon a Time creators Edward Kitts and Adam Howitz, which is currently being titled Muppets Live Another Day. Again, cool. I'm keen for a Muppet.
Maybe.
It could be.
I like Muppets, but it could be
I
bad.
think when we talked about it, it was being set back in the 80s. So that, again, we talked about it on a previous episode. Look it up. But yeah.
Look it up.
Yeah.
Just look it up.
Just look it up. Then there's a show called The Book of Enchantment. This new drama is based on Serena Valentino's book series, which was focused on characters like the Evil Queen from Snow White and Seven Dwarfs, the Beast from Beauty and the Beast, Ursula the Sea Witch from The Little Mermaid, Maleficent from Sleeping Beauty, and Mother Gothel from Tangled. So it sounds like a villains team up TV series or something. I don't know. I haven't read the book.
No, I don't know. Yeah.
Yep. Then we have Diary of a Female President, written by series creator Alana Penna from Crazy Ex-Girlfriends. The story follows a 12-year-old Cuban-American girl as she navigates the ups and downs of middle school and her journey to become the future president of the United States. Robin Shaw will serve as the showrunner of the half-hour comedy.
Probably no.
Yeah. Then we have Secret Society of Second-Born Royals. The sci-fi series is rumored to be about a 15-year-old girl who is second in line to the throne, currently occupied by her mother. But then she finds out that the summer school she is attending turns out to be a training camp for second-born royals with superpowers.
I'm down for this. This sounds like some YA. This sounds like some YA novel shit that I'm down for. Yeah.
Yeah, this crazy stuff.
Yeah, I'm down. I'm waiting for a trailer. I might be down for that. Yeah.
Then we have The Sandlot, a reboot of the beloved film from original writer David Mickey Evans that will focus on the children of the original characters and will feature the original cast returning.
I haven't seen the original, so
really, you haven't seen The Sandlot? You haven't seen The Sandlot?
No, I haven't.
Unbelievable.
No, believe me.
No, I was just like, that's of the genre of like the Mighty Ducks and the like seminal children's movie of that age. I don't know.
Yeah,
just surprising.
Yeah.
We might have to revisit it at some point. But yeah. And then also Into the Unknown, making Frozen 2, a multi-episode documentary series that will take you into the making of Frozen 2, warts and all. This could be a cool thing that they do from now on, like what they do. Back in the day, they used to do those documentary things where they show you previews, like, I don't know where. Randomly at like 10 o'clock in the morning on Channel 10 or something, there'd be some documentary about some movie that's coming out. So they can
they'll partner with, like Channel 10 or whatever. And when they're promoting the movie, they'll play it. Yeah, like on Sunrise or some shit like that, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess it's like the behind the scenes stuff, except they're showing it before the film. It's promotional stuff.
Yeah, which means they can't show. Well, hold on. No, they'll come out after the film, surely.
Yeah.
But it just means they can have
this thing's coming out before the film, I think. I don't know.
Oh, really? Okay. Interesting. Yeah. But it just means there's no spoilers, obviously, which is can hold back the documentary.
It'd be just... Yeah. I guess. It'd be more about making the stuff than actual footage.
Okay.
I guess, yeah. It could be interesting. Then we have Monsters at Work from the Pixar team we talked about last episode, which will be Monsters Inc. set TV series. 2. Monsters Inc. 2 or 2.5 if you include Kingdom Hearts.
If you count Kingdom Hearts, yeah.
Yeah, which you should. And also, it'll be like a sitcom, I guess, office comedy. It's pretty much what it's meant to be for kids, I guess. Gonna watch it. Then they're gonna have Forky Asks a Question, a short film series featuring a new character from Toy Story 4 asking Bonnie questions about life, like what is love, what is time, and what is cheese.
Excuse me? All right.
The bit I don't get
I watched that trailer and Forky doesn't seem to understand the sky from the ground. So good luck with that one.
Well, you saw the Toy Story 4 trailer. He's just come alive. He doesn't know anything. So
Okay, maybe
why
by
am
the
I
end of the
alive?
movie he's well, why am I alive?
The thing is, why is he asking Bonnie these questions? He's meant to be a toy. How's she talking to Bonnie? First rule of being a toy is you don't talk to humans.
Spoilers, all the end of the movie is the toys and
maybe that's
reveal themselves
maybe that is
to the humans. Yeah.
Maybe toys are like, screw it, we're not hiding anymore. We're gonna be
live in unison.
We'll live together.
Humans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spoilers.
Yep. Then we have an Untitled Pixar artist docuseries in which Pixar is working with the unscripted team to meet the amazing artists at Pixar in a series of short episodes.
That could be cool.
Yep. Also, Spark Shorts. So it'll be the exclusive home of Spark Shorts, the Pixar Animation Studios short film series designed to discover new storytellers and explore new storytelling techniques from across the studio. So they'll be doing a bunch of the different short films, but they'll be exclusive to Disney Plus. So they've been doing a few of these things.
All the short films are going to be in Disney Plus anyway, which is good.
Yeah. So, but there'll be more short films, is what they're saying. So that's pretty cool. And they'll be doing more, I guess, taking more risks, do more interesting stuff. I guess try different styles and stuff. So that's interesting. That's pretty cool. Then on the National Geographic side, we have The World According to Jeff Goldblum. The series, which will be available on day one, will show the world through Jeff Goldblum's mind. Goldblum will pull back the curtain of familiar objects like speakers or ice cream to give the full behind-the-scenes story, including history and more.
Ice cream and ice, yeah.
That was terrible. This is great. This is worth $6.99 a month.
Yeah, maybe.
I know it's such a weird thing, but it's one of those weird things we didn't know we wanted until it's there.
I still don't know if I want it.
You don't want Jeff Goldblum telling you about ice cream and speakers and other weird things or regular things?
Don't know. No, don't know.
Then, not surprising, there's a bunch of... It's all pretty much documentary stuff. We've got Magic of the Animal Kingdom, a documentary series following animals and caretakers at Disney's Animal Kingdom Park. The series will give an all-access pass to the extraordinary worlds. Then you've got Earthkeepers, it's a cinematic documentary series that centers on the adventurous lives of the people changing the way we see the animal kingdom. The episodes focus on conservationists and animals devoted to the animals that devoted their careers to studying, diving deep into the personal trials and professional breakthroughs of protecting the planet's most endangered species. Reconnect. Each episode features one family with a modern-day relatable issue that's driving a wedge between them. Issues range from workaholic parents, overly competitive siblings, technology addiction, or a family secret that has recently been revealed. All of these families have reached a breaking point, and it's time for them to disconnect from their busy lives, devices, and outside influences in order to address their issues head-on. With the help of a specialized expert, each family will go on a unique journey that organically ties to their issues they're facing in order to confront the family's dilemma head-on. Can they finally come together as a family to overcome their obstacles and reconnect?
Wow.
That's like,
it's intense.
That was more intense. I didn't expect that when I was reading that. So, Road Trip, a travel guide to all the places and the average tourist is least likely to venture to. The roguish, often misunderstood, and frequently overlooked corners of the world, whose hidden corners surprise, amaze, and inspire. This is the family vacation most of us are unlikely to take, but we do so vicariously with the intrepid Bob Woodruff and his 27-year-old doppelganger son, Mac. I don't know if they understand what the word doppelganger means. Clearly, there's no way that they look the same. And there's also a show called Shop Class, a new competition series features teams of inventive students who are tasked with designing, building, and testing new contraptions. In each episode, a panel of experts will rate their work based on engineering, design, and the final tests of the build. In the last episode, one team will be named Shop Class Champs. So it's like it wasn't called Shop Class when I was in school. It's called I can't remember. It wasn't called Shop Class though. You know the class where you'd like build stuff.
MDT.
Sure.
I think mine was MDT or something like that. Metal. No, I don't know. Anyway, but
All right. And then, of course, we got the Star Wars stuff, which we'll probably jump into a bit more in depth in a second. We've got the Clone Wars Season 7, The Mandalorian, the Cassian Andor series that I didn't talk about at all, with Diego Luna reprising his role from Rogue One. That'll be set before Rogue One.
and Alan Tudyk.
And Alan Tudyk is returning as K2SO. Yeah. And there'll also be a documentary series about the craftsman who brought the galaxy to life over the years in Star Wars. So yeah, that's a bunch of cool stuff. Again, other thing, they got The Simpsons, they've got freaking Avatar, they're making a Phineas and Ferb movie. There'll be Frozen 2 stuff. Apparently there's going to be 25 different episodic series in the first year, as well as 10 movie series, 10 movies or specials, 75,000 past episodes of shows, all the Disney Channel stuff and cartoons and stuff, as well as 100 recent titles, movies, and 400 titles plus from their library of titles. So there's going to be a lot of content day one, or for the first 2 years, I think they're planned out. So
Yep.
there's also a Lady and the Tramp movie. They showed footage of it. It looks like two dogs. So
Real life. It's a real life Lady and Tramp. Yeah.
yeah. So Disney Plus. The real question is when is it coming to Australia? We don't know. That is probably the most important thing.
That is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Because you know what's going to happen? Everyone's just going to pirate everything if it's on here.
Yeah. All the world is just going to be getting all that content on the internets illegally. Yeah. The other thing, Bob Iger pretty much came out and said that they bought 20th Century Fox pretty much exclusively for this service. That's the only reason they bought them, so they could have all that content to put on this service. So, I also did see that there apparently is going to be making a Love, Simon TV series. I know if you saw that. Yeah, they're working on adapting the Love, Simon movie that was based on a book into a TV series for Disney Plus.
Okay, I'll wait to see how that works.
Yeah.
But okay.
That's interesting. I don't know if you could stretch that.
I feel like if you stretch it out too long, it just becomes a tedious.
Unless you stretch it out for like 10 episodes and then
yeah, okay, one season I can.
Yeah, and then you
something else.
Like tell the story from there.
Well, there's a sequel book that is from the perspective of the best friend, the girl
who got screwed, like screwed over.
Yes. Yeah,
that could be cool. Yeah. So I guess we move on to Star Wars Celebration, and damn, what a Star Wars Celebration!
Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, Star Wars was great.
Let's kick it off with Star Wars Episode 9, The Rise of Skywalker. If you haven't seen it, Dylan did a reacts video over at youtube.com/Explosion Network, or you can go to explosionnetwork.com. It's on there as well. You've had time to process. You're no longer speechless, which you pretty much were when the trailer ended. So what are your thoughts now that you've had some time to reflect and probably read so much content about it?
I'll say my my favorite thing about recording that reacts is I don't even care if anyone watched it. I now have that moment for myself because I can't remember the last time I was literally that shocked by a trailer. Like I was caught off guard by the Palpatine thing so much, you know, like, and it's kind of like that thing. And I got to be there. I was and experience it live. You know, I didn't have it spoiled or I didn't watch it late. I was there during the thing, so I was quite happy I stayed up to take part in that Star Wars moment.
It's also a good thing that you watched the actual live stream because I've seen some other reacts of just the trailer where they're like, "Is that Palpatine's laugh?
Is that Palpatine?" Yeah, but that's why they haven't come out during the live thing. They had Ian McDermott. I can't say his name, but he came out. The actor who plays Palpatine, of course, during the stage play, and then had a real, literally mic drop moment where he says, "Play it again," or "Roll it again," and then literally drops the mic, so that was quite good. But yeah, as a teaser, I mean, what's a teaser meant to do? It's meant to tingle the sensations a little bit. It's meant to send you into a bunch of theories and get you going and get you excited for it. And I mean, it does all that. So
yeah, it is. It's a great teaser. It does its job. It just teases, and we only hear Luke and Palpatine through the whole entire trailer.
Yeah. Well, it's really not that much shown either. The majority of the trailer, of course, is Rey on the sand planet, whatever planet we're on there, and doing the whole backflip thing over the
cool shot, reminiscent
really cool
of
shot.
A lot of things.
Yeah. Well, the whole trailer, it's like reminiscent of. Well, it's funny because like the original teaser for Force Awakens opens with Finn like huffing and puffing. Teaser for episode 2 opened with like Luke, and then the teaser for episode 3 opened with Rey huffing and puffing, and then people put this one side by side with the Phantom Menace teaser, and it pretty much lines up nearly shot for shot, like similarly to that as well, and even the writing that pops up, it's like the start of the journey, the end of the journey, like it's very back to end, which makes sense because JJ in interviews was saying after that, while he was making the movie, he was thinking about it not only as the end of this trilogy, but the end of the 8 movies prior to it. It's like he's trying to make a movie that wraps up this trilogy plus the saga, the full saga. So it kind of makes sense in that regard. I mean, I've watched it a bunch. I don't know what could be said at this point.
Is it the most thing you've watched the most this year?
Yes. I was like, I mean, there's nothing else I want to watch this first. I feel like there's not much to be said about that. People would have watched it a billion times at this point. Everyone's gone into theory overdrive, and I don't know how much we really want to dive into that because
I want to dive in deep. Let's go crazy.
That's hours of that's like hours of potential hours of talking. But I mean, so you got Rey. You got backflip, cool. If you want to tackle that straight out line, I'm seeing a bunch of people be like, "Oh, fucking Rey backflip, bullshit," you know, these sorts of things. Like unreal, like Jedi's cut. I'm like, go watch the prequels again. Like,
they jumped all over the place.
They jump all over the fucking place. Like, she's obviously got stronger. We know there's a
Anakin jumped up at Obi-Wan before he cut him in half.
Yeah. We know there's a time gap in this movie. They didn't say how long. The time gap, time jump, I guess. The time jump between end of episode 8 and where 9 starts is going to be. But I would presume in that time period, obviously, she's been training and all these sorts of things. So, and when we see her there, she's obviously a lot stronger, more powerful because she's doing that full flippy move. The other thing is she has the lightsaber back, so everyone's like yelling about retconning straight away. There's a lot of... My thing with this trailer is... I love Last Jedi, right? Or teaser, sorry. I love Last Jedi. I feel like this teaser, a lot of people who hate The Last Jedi are using it as ammo against The Last Jedi, which is annoying a little bit, but like they're saying, because they're like, oh, JJ's retconning this. Yeah, fuck Last Jedi. You know, because it's like he's got the lightsaber back. Kylo's got his helmet back. Luke, they hear Luke's voice and they're like, they take the tile Rise of Skywalker, and I've seen people going, well, it means Luke's coming back to life. I'm like, y'all are fucking idiots, but okay, whatever helps you sleep at night.
Whatever helps you get into the cinema.
Yeah, whatever helps you give them the money, I guess.
Whatever helps you line Disney pockets.
Yeah. But yeah, that's ridiculous. The Rise, if we want to go with the title, I'm taking the title as... There's 2 prominent theories. The 2 highest ones that... I mean, there's a lot of theories, but a lot of them I just go, that's crap, get the fuck out of here with that theory. The 2 ones that I kind of grab onto and go, those ones make the most sense to me. One, Rise of Skywalker means like redemption of Kylo, or somewhat like he rises above. That's like one theory that I could definitely see the name making sense about. And then there's another theory that a lot of people are going with that I could also see, which is people are saying that Skywalker could become like the Grey Jedi term, I guess is the best way to put it. Like Rey adopts it as a new generation. In that storyline, Kylo could still come around and be redeemed, and he could actually like join the Skywalker brand or whatever you want to call it, like movement, church thing. So it's like either way, these storylines have potential stuff for people who want Kylo to be redeemed. The one that I see a lot of people, another thing with it's like, oh, the retconning Last Jedi, yeah, fuck that movie, is people, grabbing onto Tyler being like, Rise of Skywalker, that obviously means that Rey's a Skywalker. I'm like, what? Is that like, what do you mean it obviously means that Rey's a Skywalker? It's like, so, the title's so obvious that it means this. I'm like, no, Rey's not Skywalker, get the fuck out of here, that's not happening. Another thing I've got, I suppose there's a whole heap of random shots in it that you can't really draw too much from. There's a ship at one point that looks like the Tentative 4, which is the main ship from episode 4, like the one that Leia's on at the start and the end of Rogue One. There's a shot where people think it's that ship, which would be interesting because it's like, why would that ship be back? Like, did they are they going to all these wrecks? Because of course they're at the, I'll get to it in a sec, but the Death Star at the end. So it's like, are they going to all these random wreckages of old things in the past to do something? I don't know. The shot of Poe on looks like it looks like one of those barrage things that they used in episode 6, you know, like the things that they go out to with Jabba the Hutt on the sand dunes. Like it looks like he's racing along on one of those at one point with it's like Poe, Finn and C-3PO. They're running along. That shot to me looks like it could be Tatooine because like you see all these poles in the sand in that shot as they're going along there. That looks like the things they race through, the pod races. So that's what that made me think of. And I wouldn't be surprised if we go to prequel planets in this movie, especially with JJ talking about, you know, making it the
combination of everything. The
combination of everything and wanting to take parts from everything. And then we get a whole heap of random shots in that. There's not too much you can get from them, really, though. And then, of course, the last shot is this shot of Rey. Who's it? Rey, Chewie, Finn, Poe. I think that's it. Those ones, and they're walking up to the Death Star, one of the Death Stars. We're presuming it's Death Star 2 because that's the one that would make sense, which is sunken into the ground, like surrounded by a whole heap of water. That's a cool shot. I think a lot of people didn't realize it actually was a Death Star at first because it's like, I guess it's just like a circular object.
It's like a crescent moon sort of thing.
Yeah. I guess unless you don't click onto it too fast, it takes you a second to be like, oh, that's the Death Star. But that wraps back in the Art of the Force Awakens book. There are concept art in that book, which I saw people talking about on Twitter. I was like, holy shit, you're right. And I grabbed the book off my shelf as soon as I saw these tweets, and I was like, yes, it is, isn't it? But there's some concept art in that book of the Death Star being underwater and the Rey character, because I hadn't named it at this point in the concept art, but the Rey character like swimming under there to Palpatine's throne room or whatever, like going under there and these sorts of things. So it seems like they're potentially not recycling, but going back to, JJ's gone back to some ideas that they were going for Force Awakens at one stage and kind of bringing them back for this one, which makes sense, especially if it's like, that's a cool idea, but we can't really
especially
use it here.
Given the timeline that he had to work in with Colin Trevorrow sort of dropping out.
Yeah, to make the movie in 2 years, pretty much.
Yeah.
Scripts, post, shoot, edit, 2 years. It's a very fucking short time frame, really, for a Star Wars movie.
Well, any blockbuster movie.
Well, true. Any blockbuster movie. Yeah, so you see the Death Star, and then, of course, it comes out, and Palpatine... you hear Luke's line at the time is, nothing's ever really gone. No one's ever really gone. And then you hear Palpatine's laugh and stuff. Palpatine being back, I'm like kind of on the... I'm on a seesaw. Like, I'm excited about possibilities, but then feel like if they do certain things like they did in Legends, I will just hate it. Like clones and shit like that. I'm not down for it at all. I will say that Palpatine is technically... They've already shown in Star Wars Rebels in the final season. Slight spoilers for Star Wars Rebels if anyone actually cares. But in the final season, Ezra goes through a bunch of like trials or type thing, I guess, and he actually talks to Palpatine at one stage. In that, like it's a slight different weird version of him. It's like a disconnect. It's like, and that season goes into a whole heap of like weird mystical type ways. And the comics have explored this the possibility of like Jedi obviously can turn into Force ghosts, and the comics have recently, in like the past year, explored this concept of Sith, or even the Clone Wars, Sith being able to not turn into ghosts, but they could like haunt an object and like kind of They
So
can't leave
ghosts.
that area. Yeah, pretty much ghosts, but they can't leave. They can't leave that area, like that house or that thing that they're haunting. So people are throwing around this theory of and I like this theory. People again, if you're like afraid of spoilers from theories, then skip ahead, I guess. But people are throwing around this theory that I kind of like of Palpatine could be haunting Kylo's helmet.
Oh,
The Fallen Death Star seems to be the go-to one because it seems the easiest, but then I think that's too easy because they, of course, show you that shot in the trailer and then he laughs. So everyone's going, that's where the laugh is. He must be there. But I'm like, that's too simple. I like the helmet one more because that would make a lot more sense for the movies prior. It's like, because one problem I've had with these last couple movies is, and rightfully so, people are like, why the fuck won't Anakin or Darth Vader, whatever you're going to call him, just turn up and be like, Kylo, bro? Nah, I wasn't about that in my final moments. Get out, like stop killing people and saying dark side in my name type of thing. And he keeps talking to Vader's helmet as if it's a grandfather this, grandfather that, and he talks to it like it's feeding him with power. But there's this theory going around now that's like Palpatine could be infused with the helmet because of course in his dying moments he like was shocking Vader. And then, like, he died, and he's haunting the helmet. And then this entire time, the force that's actually been feeding Kylo has been Palpatine through the helmet kind of thing. Like, I don't know if that's too weird for mainstream Star Wars audiences, but I feel like they might go a little bit weird with this movie either way. Because no matter what you do, once you start getting into the Palpatine thing, it's like, even if they just bring you back as some sort of, like, Sith ghost, if they revive him, if they do some sort of like ritual thing, because Star Wars has magic in it. Like they go into this and some of the spin-off stuff as well. Star Wars has like dark magics in it. If they do any of that to potentially have a character want to literally resurrect Palpatine and bring it back that way, like all of these things I feel are going to sit weirdly for mainstream Star Wars audiences. You know what I mean? Like it's all going to feel a bit otherworldly to what they're used to in the mainstream movies. So we'll see how it goes. But look, teaser's great. I love how it's like a minute-long teaser. There's only so many shots in it. I'm pretty sure I've read 100 articles and listened to like 100 hours of podcasts about it at this point, and I love it. It's to me, half of the fun for Star Wars is speculation and being, talking to people about it, hearing people's theories, back and forth. And I don't just mean for the core movies. I mean, like, I would, like, even if I was talking about the TV show before, Resistance, right? If I was able to watch that weekly on Foxtel, I would have been. And then I would have been listening to one of my podcasts that does Star Wars stuff. They did after every episode, they were dropping a podcast discussing it, right? I would have loved to have been involved in that. So it's not just the mainstream movies. Everything Star Wars is great to discuss. And I love how people can draw so much out of a fucking 1 minute teaser. It's fantastic.
Yeah. And the crazy thing is we haven't even seen any of the new characters, like Kerry Russell's character or the...
Nope.
I think
Matt Smith is also in this movie. Yeah.
I know. Yeah, so really we barely saw anything. It's cool to hear that Finn, Poe, and Rey are going to be together this whole film. Apparently is the thing, is the go. So that the nice change other than being split up the last couple of films.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was a great trailer or teaser. He did the job. Got us all pumped. Definitely keen to see how they use Luke, especially given the backlash, the reaction to Last Jedi, and I guess do they double down on the Last Jedi or do they?
Look, not to go from episode 4, Force ghosts have always been put as and even going into the prequels, Jedi are not afraid of death. They embrace it, as if it's the next stage. Like literally we've had it set up from Star Wars, the first Star Wars movie, episode 4, strike me down now and I'll become stronger than you'll ever know, right? So Luke progressing to the next stage of the next level. Like people are like, oh, they killed him, he can't do anything now, but he's gone. But to me, I'm like, in recent novels and stuff, they've been exploring this, like what actually happens when they become a Force ghost. What can they do there? Like how conscious are they? How does it all work type of stuff. So, and it's like, it's the next level to them. They've always considered it to be the next level. So when people get scared of or get pissy about Luke being quote unquote killed, I'm like, come on, we've had it since the first fucking movie. Like he's stronger now. Like Jedis were supposed to embrace it. He would have read all the like what he did was the most powerful Force fucking move we've ever seen any Jedi do. Like Force project himself across that many fucking planets and stuff. I'm like, Oh my god! But yeah, we'll 100% see Luke. Obviously, it was new dialogue, like obviously in the teaser, so he's involved. We know
we
that
did see
much.
Leia was the other thing.
Yeah.
So they're not writing her out like we expected it. Them
No,
to
so
write
they
her out.
explained that during the panel. They're using episode 8, and it seems like potentially some episode 7 stuff as well. But they're using a whole heap of unused footage, and then they're going to like CGI effects, special effects, and they're going to do stuff. But either way, they're not you doing like Rogue One stuff. They're not killing off a character in the opening part, like, which is what I thought they would do when we were talking about Last Jedi years ago. I thought the opening title screen would just be like, 2 years have passed, General Leia Organa has passed away, Poe Dameron now leads the resistance against blah, 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 blah. I thought that would have been the nicest way to go about it, but they apparently found a way to keep her in the script and they must have rewatched all the unused footage and gone, we can make this work. We can make this work. So, yeah. We'll have to wait and see how it all works out with her, I guess.
Yeah. Definitely keen. Yeah. Everything was cool. Even the helmet. I think I said somewhere else that they had to remake the helmet, for merch reasons.
It's like you want to go. I was reading a thing where people said that the technique that they're using, like how it's got all the red, they're rejoining his helmet, and now it's going to have these red streaks in it. That's an actual technique. That's something to do with samurais from back in the day, which makes sense because Star Wars has always been heavily influenced by samurais and that culture and stuff. But apparently it was a thing they used to do back in the day, and they would purposely want the breaks to be visible because it was like a show, like a sign. This was broken, now it's healed, like we carry it type thing. So that was cool. But I saw someone wrote an article about that and how it could be influenced by this certain samurai culture or something.
Definitely. Very cool. All right. So also at a Star Wars Celebration, we've got our first look at season 7 of Clone Wars. How did it make you feel, Dylan?
It's basically Ahsoka, the final season, so I'm all about it. It's very weird to watch because they showed a trailer and they showed a couple clips. It's very weird to watch young Ahsoka now after years of Rebels with older Ahsoka, of course. And then even on the panel, Ashley Eckstein, who voices Ahsoka, was talking about how like she even had struggled a little bit to get back into character as because there's a slight voice difference, between older Ahsoka and younger Ahsoka. So yeah. It's Ahsoka is obviously, I feel like most people, if you don't know, Ahsoka is my favorite Star Wars character. So I'm very, very excited about this. And Disney Plus, if it doesn't come to Australia, can go get fucked because this is more exciting to me than most things. That's the thing. People don't understand.
Yeah, most things don't get resurrected like this got. Right.
No, and they're finally getting to wrap up the story. Not only to do with Ahsoka, which Ahsoka seems to be the main focus of the season, but they're also going to be able to explain some things like how Rex manages to survive through the Rebels and like how he gets his chip taken out so he isn't actually activated. They're finally going to be able to explain that. They're going to get to wrap up the Maul storyline as well, and they explained that
set it up for Solo.
Yeah, so they've updated his costume so it's a little bit more in line with what his costume was like in Solo, and so it's like they get to do cool things that they wouldn't have been able to if they did this season years ago, because now obviously Solo's out, so they're like, oh, we can, kind of make it fit in a lot better. They also said that this, the fight between Ahsoka and Maul in this, which they talk about in like Rebels and stuff. We know they have this massive epic fight in this season. They said that they got Ray Park in to do all the mocap. The actual Darth Maul actor who plays him in the movies. They got him in to do all the mocap for the fight scenes and stuff because they wanted it to be like really cool and stuff. So that's nice. Yeah,
definitely. And then the other final big TV project that we got our first look at. Well, we didn't get our first look, but the people in that Star Wars Celebration got their first look.
I watched all the Mandalorian footage. I was refusing. I would not go in case people don't know, the Mandalorian panel, you're watching it, they show a behind the scenes type real thing that cuts out on the stream, and then they end the stream, and then Jon Favreau is literally like, hey, all right, goodbye, thanks for joining us, everyone. I was like, oh, okay, guess they're not showing an actual trailer for it. And then he says that, but then in the audience, he's like, okay, now we're going to show you a real trailer. So they're just constantly fucking with the live streaming audience, and I'm not a fan of it. This shit's going to get leaked no matter what. It just feels stupid. And that's a whole different conversation, but I'm just like, why do people don't do it anymore? It's going to be leaked. It was leaked. Of course it was. Stop fucking pretending that people aren't going to leak this stuff and just put out the actual footage. Because do you want me to watch a crappy mobile footage, or do you want to just show me the fucking trailer? Because guess what? I watched the crappy mobile footage. So the behind the scenes trailer thing basically has a bunch of the directors talking and being like, talking about the project and how cool it is to be working on it. You see some stuff. So you got Pedro Pascal is playing the Mandalorian. You see him there. Gina Carano is playing this character called Cara Dune. You see some of her in there, and she's talking a little bit as well. And then you see Carl Weathers, who's playing Grief Karga. You see him there talking a little bit too. And then the actual trailer, which they showed at the end of the thing, shows a little bit more of the characters and actors that actually weren't part of the panel. So you see a lot of how the fuck do you say his name? Giancarlo Esposito from Breaking Bad, and also Werner Herzog and Nick Nolte. You see a bit more in the trailer, and it basically sets up this storyline of the Mandalorian coming to Carl Weathers' character, being like, here's a job. And then because the story is set post episode 6 and like in the outer reaches, it looks like fucking Tatooine. They didn't confirm the planet or anything, but it just looks like fucking Tatooine. Either way, it's on the outer regions or something. But it's like in a planet where post episode 6, the New Republic isn't in there, like running the show yet, but also the Old Republic, obviously the Empire's like running away at this stage, kind of. But then you've got this character like Carlo. I'm just gonna say Carlo. Fuck me. Carlo's character is like an old Empire soldier of some sorts, and he's still kind of fighting for it. Like, we need to try and bring the Empire back, kind of thing. So it's literally like the Nazis hanging around at the bar even after they've lost the war type thing. And then you've got the Mandalorian trying to do this job. Obviously, he's just kind of out for himself, I guess. It's either way, it really looks like, well, through my shitty mobile footage trailer thing, it looks like a real Western. It looks to be shot real Western-like. It looks to be like old school Star Wars. It seems like it'll be, and by that I mean like looks very much like Episode 4. Because I mean that's what Jon Favreau on the panel was pretty much like. Talks about how like the original trilogy is his favorite. Of course, he grew up with it. Like a lot of people his age did in Hollywood. They grew up watching Star Wars and stuff. And he said that his favorite scene in all the Star Wars movies is the moment they walk into the cantina and you see all the aliens and stuff in there, the rough and tough individuals. And he said that's what I want to make a show about. So it's that, and then it's set after Episode 6, because then you have like an interesting climate to set the story in where the government, like everyone likes to pretend end of Episode 6, oh cool, everything's, the good guys won, and of course the government just takes over now. But if you read any true stories about history, even with like government takeovers in countries in our world, even on Earth, these things don't happen overnight. So it's like, imagine that in a huge universal scale. Like, how hard and how long would it take for the new government to kind of come in and get things under control? And this is shortly after Episode 6, and things are just like not in a good place. But they're in a good place if you're an outlaw. That's the kind of synopsis. Yeah. What do you think of the clip I sent you? I guess
it looked fine. It's hard to tell, obviously, with this bad quality. Nothing too much about it like sold anybody, I don't think, because they were just keeping all their cards very close to their chests. So it's super hard to like get invested in something where you don't know anything, I guess.
There's a bunch of people, Star Wars podcasters and people I follow on Twitter and stuff, that were actually there and watched the actual footage. They went out of it and said it was more impressive. Like, they loved it. It was their favorite thing, even above Episode 9. So, jeez. Yeah. I mean, but they were saying the same sort of thing. Like, if you're a fan of the original trilogy Star Wars, this feels very old school Star Wars. So could appease different fan bases, I guess. I don't know. People love fucking Boba Fett. People love the Mandalorian armor. Like, just it's seeing cool. It's a cool looking character. As much as I don't like Boba Fett, and I think he's an overrated character from the original trilogy, the Mandalorian armor itself is very cool looking. Yeah.
The only other piece of news, apparently, is that it's looking like it's going to be released on a weekly schedule rather than all at once.
I like it. Yes.
Yeah. So, which might be a norm for the Disney Plus content. So
I like it.
Yeah.
Like, as much as I like stuff when it's dumped sometimes, I do like this being able to go, fuck, yes, I have a week in between to theorize and talk about and read stuff and, you know, just digest it with people, make a podcast about it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
it's not solely for that reason, but at the same time, it is like, it's hard to do that sort of show that we do for like Game of Thrones and stuff if everything's dumped at once. And whenever we talk about those types of shows, I always just bring up that it's pretty much what I used to do with Game of Thrones and other shows back in the day, years ago, where I'd just go down to my friend's place and would watch the Game of Thrones, and then we'd spend the next 2 hours just around the coffee table just talking about it. So, and you can't do that if everything's dropped at once. I hope, and I really
we haven't
hope
worked it out yet anyway.
Yeah. Wait until Disney Plus doesn't come out until Mandalorian's out, and then they just drop it all day one when it launches here anyway, and I'll be like, fuck.
Yeah, they drop it all in one go, like Titans on Netflix or on Stan. Yep. I was going
to say, the only other thing that excites me about this, The Mandalorian 2, is Dave Filoni's directing 2 of the episodes, and he's also the executive producer on it. A lot of people don't know Dave Filoni, who only like Star Wars main film fans, but he's like basically one of the favorites within the Lucasfilm group at the moment, because he was the second head honcho behind George Lucas to the Clone Wars, and then he was the head honcho behind Rebels. He created Ahsoka, all these other things. Like he's basically George Lucas's apprentice, somewhat, I guess is how you could describe him. And this is his first live action. Yeah, he's Padawan. Thank you. This is his first live action work, and I'm really excited to see what he can actually do when playing with live action elements.
Yeah, it was cool seeing him on the panel with Jon Favreau, and obviously they've got a very, very extensive history.
Yeah, back to Iron Man.
Back to Iron Man, where he was apparently one of the first people to ever see it, so
yeah,
crazy. A couple of other small stories. Have you heard of Mouse Guard before?
Yes.
Yeah, so this is a comic book series developed by David Peterson, which is much beloved. It was being made by Fox until about this week, 2 weeks before it was set to go into production, and it was shut down. Mm-hmm. It was set to star Idris Elba, Andy Serkis, Thomas Brody Sangster, and Soyana Mizuno, in a motion captured animated film that was to bring the Eisner Award-winning illustrations of Peterson's work to life. Yeah, this is pretty crazy that they sort of cut it so close to it going into production. I guess it's good that they wasn't mid-production, I guess, but apparently the reasoning is they just didn't want Fox to be working on this kind of stuff because they're Disney and they make that kind of stuff already. So
I don't know. I heard it was because the budget was originally so fucking high, and they were like, "Yeah, no."
Yeah, that was the other thing. I thought they had a budget of 170 million, which is a bit bigger than they were wanting for the. They would want. Instead, Disney wants the new studio to focus on lower cost family movies, as well as PG-13 and R-rated fare.
Yeah, all I know is I've seen a lot of people last week on Twitter using it as ammo towards, this fucking Disney, blah, 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 blah. And again, like, a lot of the times the movies get shot down very close to productions, a lot of the time, and you just don't know about it. You know what I mean? You don't hear about it. But because this was because of the deal
Disney merger, yeah.
I feel like it's getting a lot more traction than it would have previously, and the movie could still end up happening just
somewhere else.
Not somewhere else. Yes.
Or with lesser named people.
Potentially. We all just need to take a deep breath somewhat. It's like...
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard about Mouse Guard for ages. I think that would have been a cool thing to...
it would have been
cool. For those who don't know,
cool.
It's like Game of Thrones with little mouse people.
Yeah, with little mouses and stuff.
It's a fantasy mice-based series.
Yes. I saw the person who was doing the concept art for the movie post a bunch of stuff on Twitter and posted some of his art that he was doing for the concept art. And I was like, yes, this looks great. But at the same time, I was like, 170 million for this. I can understand why they may be like, we make superhero
especially when they're
movies
making
for
things
less.
like Jungle Book and Lion King, similar sort of stuff.
Similar budget and stuff. It's like,
I guess.
Yeah, I can understand why they might.
This is another massive franchise that they could have launched. So it's...
Yeah.
But 170 million is a lot of money.
It is.
It is. Speaking of things that got cancelled, Sort of. The showrunners for the Why the Last Man TV series have left. Apparently, they released a tweet saying, "Sad news for fans of Why the Last Man today. FX have decided not to move forward with our series in its current form. We are grateful for everyone who came together to make our pilot and build the world of Why," listing all the staff. "We hope to reward their talent and their trust, not to just with success, but with a show that had something to say in a time when things must be said. As Why fans ourselves, we hope the future allows just that." Ida Shaker Kroll and Michael Green were sign off. They were the showrunners. The crazy thing is, apparently, the show hasn't been cancelled. The show has a pilot that's been shot. They have a cast and everything, but apparently they're shopping it around to new showrunners because obviously there was some sort of disagreement about the future of the show, which is kind of becoming a common thing, I think, at the moment. Especially, it feels like showrunners are super interchangeable at the moment. Like the number of shows. I think, what did I say? Friggin' Designated Survivor, the Jack Bauer, Kiefer Sutherland show. They're 2 seasons in. They're up to their 4th showrunner. Star Trek Discovery's had like 3 showrunners already. So
yeah, it's like the showrunners picked by the network, and then a lot of the times the network kind of just wants the showrunner to be their puppet and do what they want. And then when the showrunner disagrees and actually wants to take charge of the show somewhat and have like creative input, creative control, clear vision that differs from the networks, then they're kicked out. So a lot of the times these networks are hiring showrunners to just be puppets, and they're not doing the puppet job, is what it seems to me a lot of the time. Yeah.
Which I guess you come to expect from, especially when you're using somebody else's property. It's not your own original thing. You've got a bit less of a say and a bit less power, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, it's still crazy.
But then I don't know how they get hired half the time. You think by the time they have meetings or talk and like, you'd think they'd reach an understanding of what each other's vision and these sorts of things before they hire one, like before they're all brought on board.
Before you shoot the pilot and almost go into production. Crazy.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, how the fuck do you get that far? And then be like, oh no, they disagree. So yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, so who knows if this is ever going to see the light of day. Why the Last Man has a long history of being in development and not falling through.
Good, because I read the comic like
infamously
fucking 8
the
years
Shia
ago.
LaBeouf DJ Caruso one that was in the works back in 2008, something like that. So dodge a bullet there.
We'll see.
Yeah, who knows if this will ever. But we'll kind of end on some goodish news. We're getting a Tomb Raider sequel, starring Alicia Vikander, returning as Lara Croft. It is currently being written by Amy Jump, who co-wrote Kill List, High Rise, and A Field in England. So,
yep. The only reason I'm excited for this.
Really? I thought you really liked Alicia Vikander as Lara Croft.
Well, yeah, no. I suppose to be fair, I thought the first movie was okay. Like she had potential as Lara Croft. It just like you needed a better story and a better director and these sorts of things. But I just feel like I like Amy Jump being involved with this. If Amy Jump basically writes all of Ben Wheatley's movies, and he does. Well, I guess it's up for debate, but I consider Ben Wheatley to be a good director, interesting new visions and stories, and like he's definitely one of the current directors that I see his name. I'm like, okay, what's he doing now? What are we up to? And Amy Jump does. I think she's done all of his scripts. So her being involved makes me think that the story will hopefully, unless the studio is like, no, you can't do that, you can't do this, blah, 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 blah. The story will hopefully have a lot more originality to it compared to the first movie, because the first movie just felt like, it was somewhat Tomb Raider, but then it somewhat just felt like the studio being like, no, it needs to be more like Indiana Jones, or you need to make it feel a bit more like this, or you know what I mean? Like, it just didn't have a clear vision of separating it from a franchise, like really setting into stone what they want the current Lara Croft films to feel like. So I'm hoping she can give it.
Yeah. I think it's good that we've had the setup, the origin story. Now we can actually have her doing stuff, I guess, in the next film.
Send her off on an adventure to some fucking crazy place, yeah.
It'll be interesting to see if they bring back Kristen Scott Thomas as Anna Miller that was set up at the end of the last film.
Yeah, I guess they're going to do Trinity.
Nemesis. As Trinity sort of follow on from the video game, recent Crystal Dynamics series. So, but if they could completely drop that and then do something else, I mean, I think Alicia Vikander was the best part of that film. So
yes,
for her, I think I'd be keen to see another iteration of it. Apparently, it actually did pretty solid. It made $274 million worldwide, so it wasn't a flop or anything. So
it didn't flop, and that's the reason we're getting a sequel.
Yeah, definitely. All right. We've been talking for a while, so let's move into what do we end up watching. Dylan, what did we end up watching?
Buckaroo, Banzai, and Adventures Through the Eighth Dimension. I think that's the title.
Buckaroo, President's on line 1, calling about is everything okay with the alien spacecraft from Planet 10, or should he just go ahead and destroy Russia?
Tell him yes on 1 and no on 2.
Which was yes, destroy Russia, or number 2?
Close enough. Yes, it's The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension, directed by W.D. Richter, starring Peter Weller, John Lithgow, Ellen Barkin, and Jeff Goldblum. Adventurer, brain surgeon, rock musician Buckaroo Banzai and his crime-fighting team, the Hong Kong Cavaliers, must stop evil alien invaders from the Eighth Dimension who are planning to conquer Earth. Yeah, this was a film.
This was a film.
So, to be honest, I was going to pick another film for this week, and then I saw this listed as one of the films it was like, and I'm like, hey, I haven't seen that. I'm pretty sure Dylan hasn't seen that. This has some sort of cult movie status as one of those things you definitely need to see. So I went, yeah, that's the movie we need to end up watching. It's okay. I didn't think it was like a riveting thing. It is bizarre. It just hits you with a bunch of different things at the start of the film. 1 minute he's freaking brain surgeon. Next minute he's riding this rocket thing through a mountain. I mean, it's freaking crazy. And John Lithgow's in it and doing all being weird as shit. Yeah.
It's such a weird movie that I thought it must have been based on an obscure comic book, but it's not.
No, that's the weirdest thing. You
That's
thought
the
there'd be
weirdest
some
thing.
sort of property it's based on because there's so much backstory.
Yeah, but it's not.
No.
Just dive you into the universe. There you go. I liked it though. I liked
You like
it.
it?
I'm kind of on board. I'm not trying to sell it as this amazing movie, but I understand why it has a cult following. You know, because you watch it and there are so many weird elements and things and characters and stuff going on that when I finished it, I was like, why haven't they done a sequel? Why haven't they rebooted this? Because there's so much room for this to be a thing. I'll look it up. Apparently there's a bunch of legal trouble, a studio going down. Like this movie came out, it bombed, blah, 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 blah. They struggled to even get the DVD released for some reason. All sorts of weird stuff apparently behind the scenes here. But yeah, what a weird fucking movie. For a start, the stuff he was just hinting at. For people who haven't watched the movie, those that have, let's break it down. The movie starts, you're introduced, you're at a desert scene. They're trying to set up some like car tests that you get, like rocket powered car or some shit. They're like, where's Buckaroo? Oh, he's not here yet. We cut to Buckaroo. He's given heart surgery with Jeff Goldblum. He says, hey, Jeff Goldblum, do you want to join my band? Okay. So this dude, we introduce this character and we're like, he's in a band. He's about to drive some rocket powered car. He's also a heart surgeon, does brain surgery or whatever's going on here. And then he drives the car, and it's not just a car test. He then drives the car into a mountain, goes to the eighth dimension, comes out the other side safe. So he's a fucking crazy scientist now. And then we cut, and he's touring around in his car. He's doing like
he's in a big bus with his Hong Kong Cavalier.
Yeah, going around
bandmates. But
they're like half of it's set up like a typical band tour bus, and then the front end's like a
military station.
Military station. And then we cut to a scene where they literally just perform a song, and then
spoilers. Let's just say spoilers because this is bonkers. You should just watch it. He talks to this one girl who's very unhappy that he suddenly realizes somehow over all the singing and noise.
He's like, someone's here
there's
crying.
one person not happy. And apparently, it turns out she's the twin sister who
was that ever confirmed, or was that just thrown out?
I don't know. Well, they didn't do a blood test or anything, but apparently he thinks she's the twin sister of the woman. His previous partner, I guess.
Yeah. So his ex-wife was murdered prior to this film by someone, and so was his parents. And from what I could gather, that this was all set up for the potential sequel, because at the end it gives you the title card of Buckaroo Banzai versus the World Terror
Crime League.
like Crime League or something. Yeah, so all of this storyline, this like throwing out of like his his wife being murdered and family being killed and all this other stuff, it's all been thrown out as like, yeah, that's the sequel. Apparently they filmed some lines with that character being mentioned, who was the leader of it or something, but then they cut it from the main movie. But they did introduce the big villain's name or something. So yeah.
But
that's why it feels
she
like a
doesn't
comic
know
book
it's a
thing.
twin sister because she was adopted.
No. Yeah.
Freaking.
It's intense.
And she tried to kill him.
Yeah, for some reason.
For some reason. No reason. Never
I don't know. And then John Lithgow is something else in this movie as well.
Yeah.
He's doing some weird, like, I don't even know how he described his
He's just
accent.
been crazy.
He's been crazy, but quite fun.
Yeah.
Jeff Goldblum, and he's in cowboy uniform for the majority of the movie.
Chaps, yeah. Chaps in a cowboy hat. I don't know why.
I think the reason the movie
He's from
works,
New Jersey.
I think the reason the movie works is because, as weird as it is, it's got like a budget behind it, and it's for the special effects aren't great, but then like some of the movie was shot with I can't remember I looked it up because you can tell some of it looks different, right? Like it's like that nightclub scene, for instance. You're like, this is being shot rather well and stuff. I looked it up, and it's because the original director of photography on this movie that was shooting it was the same person who did like Blade Runner and stuff, original Blade Runner. And they hired that person because they wanted to have this very colorful look to the film and not look like a B-grade movie. But then for whatever reason, he got fired or got whatever, something happened, and they get someone else. So the movie's shot by two different people, but for the most part, the movie doesn't look like a B movie, even though the plot and everything that's going on obviously feels like some weird B movie. The special effects aren't great, especially when something's flying across the air. But yeah, I don't know. I think overall, I enjoyed this movie. When I boil it down, when I really think about it, I'm like, I enjoyed this movie.
I think I liked it more than I disliked it.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. It's a very weird movie.
Yeah,
but I'd watch it again.
Yeah, it definitely has potential for remakes or something if they can figure out the legal troubles. So I could have sworn that either Edgar Wright or Jason Reitman was talking about possibly doing something with this, but
I don't know who you would get, because I also found it weird. I'm like watching this. I'm like, Peter Weller as this character is so weird to me, because Peter Weller in my mind is just RoboCop.
Yeah, that's the other weird thing.
I'm like, Peter Weller's RoboCop. How do I look past this?
It's supposed to be this rock star scientist, every possible profession guy. God. And then Christopher Lloyd's in this as well.
The end credits is amazing.
Yeah.
They just start walking down that I can't remember the name of it, that subway, that famous, like, fucking Grease and shit, drive the cars down, Terminator,
Drive.
whatever. Yeah. That
through LA, yeah.
LA thing, right? And they just start walking down there, and they've got this crazy music playing, like it's so fucking 80s. It's great.
So weird.
Weird shots of people's belts and stuff.
Yeah, it's such a weird collection of people too.
It is.
This little kid, and then his dad's got a helicopter.
Yeah.
And then suddenly they've got a base somewhere. It's like, I don't know. This is crazy.
It's like, it's like weird because in the universe, Buckaroo Banzai is a
Huge
superstar.
Yeah.
To the point that he even has like comic books made about him that the kids
video
are reading.
arcade
and
game.
People arcade game, which John Lithgow's character like blows up at one point, and then he's like a rock star, and he's a huge like science celebrity, and the president just calls him up. It's great.
There's so many just random stuff.
The plot stuff with him and the girl who looks like his ex-wife is very 80s. Like, oh, he gets the girl, and of course the movie ends with him making out with her and
Saving
stuff.
or
I'm
whatever, yeah.
I was like, the storyline with those two felt unnecessary, really, to the overall thing. I'm like, you could get rid of that and just focus on what's actually working quite well here, which is the
Well, they
weird
need to have a
alien
female
stuff.
character.
Yeah, no, but they could replace one of his fucking crew members with a
Yeah, that's true.
varies the
Could
the
have
cast
replaced
there.
Perfect Tommy.
Yeah, with a girl or something. But I enjoyed it. For the most. Yeah,
I like John Githliff, the guy. He had a couple of my favorite moments. I enjoyed him killing that guy at the start of the movie, and then the guy with the baseball just watching.
Yeah,
And not doing anything, not reacting
Mike,
at all.
Mike from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul is who that was.
Yeah.
Yeah, very young version, obviously, but
And then they have he's trying to hype up all his alien people, and they're like, when do we want it? Sometime soon. I don't know, that just made me laugh. All right. That brings us to the end of this episode of What Do You Want to Watch? Dylan, where can people find you on Twitter and also Trakt, the awesome TV and movie tracking service?
all of the things, Viva La Dil, VIVALADIL.
And you can find me there at Ashley Hobley, ASHLEYHOBLEY. You can follow the Explosion Network, which this is a part of, on Twitter at ExplosionPod, or on Twitch at twitch.tv/Explosion Network, or on youtube.com/Explosion Network, where you can find South of King's Landing, or our upcoming review discussion of Endgame. It's coming. Or just head over to explosionnetwork.com to see everything we do, our reviews, our news stories, our reacts, everything. It's all there. Head over to our Discord at explosionnetwork.com/Discord, where we talk about movies. All our stuff drops in there automatically. It's great. If you've got any questions or review ideas or any suggestions, send us an email at mail@explosionnetwork.com. And of course, if you want to help us out, leave us a review either on Apple Podcasts or on Podcaster. 5 stars is always good. 4 stars also very good. 3 stars also very good. 2 stars, I mean, that's I appreciate the effort. 1 star is not appreciated at all.
Well, think you slipped.
Yeah, I think you accidentally hit the wrong button. And of course, word of mouth, always helpful. Just tell your Hong Kong Cavaliers that they need to listen to What Do You Want to Watch. I'm sure you've got a crew of random guys who follow you around everywhere. That's a totally normal thing. All right, until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.
Every Saturday, listen to a brand new episode of Arcade Couch, the Explosion Network's variety video game podcast. Sit back, relax on the best couch to chill with your friends and hear about the latest industry news, as well as our opinions on the latest releases and what we've been playing. Just search your podcasting app for Arcade Couch and subscribe for free now. Like now. Do it.